He might be eating in there. Brian, is Efren in there? Brian, Efren? I thought he was dropping those off for you. No, he came and got them, and I thought he was going to drop them off by you.
Yes. I called you. I left you an email saying how you wanted to get them. I don't have your.
When Cody sits down, just remind him his mic is turned off.
Mic's on. Hey, Fred, Tammy, look, can you?
It's so funny.
Ready, right? Ready,
Yes.
left? All right, sounds good. All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regularly scheduled city council meeting for September 5th, 2023. My name is Mark Clark. I'm the mayor. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Clark,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Castle,
Here.
Councilmember Spear,
Here.
Councilmember Johnson,
Present.
Councilmember Neal,
Present.
Councilmember Mortensen.
Here.
All right, next item, we have a Yard of the Month winner, and this is going to be presented to Joanne. And her address is 3612 Empire Street. She was selected as the Yard of the Month, so if anybody is here, if you're here, please come up.
So pretty.
We have a placard here for you as well as a gift card for you, and I'd like to present you your award as well.
This is Mark Nelson.
Hi, I'm Mark Clark.
This is Mark Nelson.
Nice to meet you as well, Mark. All right, well, actually, we need a picture. I can hold this for you.
We should put it together. Yeah, hold on.
Absolutely.
Yay.
Thank you.
Yes, great job.
What happened?
All right, next time on the agenda, we have a couple, we actually have 3 proclamations for this evening. I'm going to go ahead and start the first one. It's for the Sunrise Community Health Anniversary for 2023. All right. Whereas for 50 years, Sunrise Community Health has provided high-quality, affordable, comprehensive primary and preventive health care in Evans, delivering value to and having a significant impact on the community. And whereas Sunrise Health is a critical element of the health system, providing accessible and dependable source of primary care in the community, and is the health care home to over 40,000 in northern Colorado. And whereas Sunrise Community Health integrates services beyond primary medical care, including oral health, vision, behavioral health, telehealth, pharmacy, laboratory, radiology, health education, care management, and English as a second language in citizenship classes. And whereas Sunrise Community Health played a vital role in the pandemic response, supplying critical outpatient respiratory care and effectively reaching racial and ethnic minorities, whereas Sunrise Health is governed by a patient majority board, ensuring that patients are engaged in their own healthcare decisions, and whereas Sunrise Community Health is a locally owned and operated small business that supports over 400 direct jobs in the community. And whereas Sunrise Community Health's model effectively overcomes barriers to healthcare access, including geography, income, education, transportation, and insurance statuses. And whereas Sunrise Community Health saves the overall health system millions of dollars each year by managing patients' chronic conditions to keep them out of more expensive healthcare settings. And whereas Sunrise Community Health operates 12 clinics across Weld and Larimer counties, including a mobile outreach unit that serves vulnerable populations and rural communities. And whereas since 1973, Sunrise Health has remained family rooted in Northern Colorado, responding to the needs of our most vulnerable and building a healthier place to live. And whereas during this 50th anniversary, please join me in celebrating the legacy of Sunrise Community Health and its vital role in shaping the past, present, and future of healthcare in Northern Colorado. Now, therefore, I, Mark Clark, Mayor of the City of Evans, do hereby proclaim September as Sunrise Community Health Month and encourage the people of Evans to take part in this milestone celebration by visiting Sunrise Community Health Clinics and honoring an enduring partnership between the healthcare center and our own community. And witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Evans, Colorado, this 5th day of September 2023. And I understand we have some representatives from Sunrise here. If you'd like to please come up and I'll present you this proclamation.
Jeez. Great job.
I'm Mitzi Moran. I serve as a CEO at Sunrise. It's her 50th anniversary. It's my 25th anniversary at Sunrise. So I've been half her life, and she's almost half of mine. I'm a little older than 50. But one of the joyful things that I've done this year is I've been going back through all the board files, reading the minutes, the board documents, seeing the names involved back in the beginning. And one of the things that has been so heartening is that the mission and vision that was envisioned in 1973, bring affordable access to quality care to all, is still being lived today. And I hope we made the founders and the people that have worked so hard in the past, I hope we're making them proud by still living that today. So we really appreciate this recognition. We are celebrating our 50th this Saturday. It's a party at Montfort Family Clinic here in Evans, our largest clinic with about 100 employees there. And it's from 4 to 7, so come, please come. Food trucks, dancing, music, it'll be wonderful. So we hope to see you there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, our next proclamation is the Hispanic Heritage Month for 2023, and as we have a tradition here, we usually have Councilmember Allie Johnson read the proclamation, so I'm going to turn it over to her.
Okay. Whereas communities across the United States celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month each year, in a tradition dating back to 1968, when Congress first established a dedicated week to recognize the contributions made by Hispanic and Latino Americans. That week has expanded into a month-long observance. And whereas this annual observance honors the history, culture, and the contributions of Americans who celebrate ancestry from 20 countries in Latin America, ranging from Mexico through Central and South America to the Caribbean, And whereas the 2020 United States Census revealed more than 62 million Americans, representing approximately 18.7% of the population, who claim Hispanic or Latino origin, plus 3.3 million Hispanics who are residents of Puerto Rico, a United States territory. And whereas the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce reports that there are more than 4.7 million Hispanic-owned firms in the United States, providing millions of jobs and contributing more than 600 billion to the economy. And whereas Evans is home to a wide range of Latino businesses and entrepreneurs who positively impact our local economy, providing jobs along with valuable services and products. Evans' growing Hispanic population is strong and vibrant and a key part of the fabric of our city. And whereas members of the Hispanic community are active in all levels of local, state, federal government, from volunteer boards and commissions to civilian employment to elected offices, including the Evans City Council, plus more than 1 million Hispanics who have served or currently serving in the United States Armed Forces.
Now, therefore, I, Mark Clark, Mayor of the City of Evans, do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th as Hispanic Heritage Month in the City of Evans, and encourage citizens to share in this annual tribute by learning about and celebrating the generations of Hispanic Americans who have positively impacted our nation. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the effect the official seal of the City of Evans, Colorado, this 5th day of September 2023. And I believe we have some members of the audience that are here. So if you want to, Angel, if you want to come on up and I'll present this here to you.
Come with me. Good job.
My name is Angel Flores. I pastor Mosaic Church at 3451 23rd Avenue in Evans. I also live in Evans on Siena Avenue. And I want to also take this minute and recognize the contributions that Hispanics have made to this incredible community that we all call home. Hispanics serve at all levels of this community, but this was not always the case. People of great strength and conviction fought to create access to education, healthcare, and opportunities for people who look like me. People like David and Laura Flores, Ramon and Faye Mora, Eleno and Maria Flores, my wife's parents, Ruben and Yuelia Ocañas, her grandparents, Matilde and Maria Rodriguez, and Fernando and Virginia Ocañas. As a community, we stand on the shoulders of giants. And I hope and pray that we will all continue to strive and make this an even better community so that someday someone will remember that they stood on our shoulders and someone will read our names into a meeting record sometime in the future. Thank you, guys. That'd be great. Thank you.
Excuse me. Hey, how are you?
All right, our next proclamation is the Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month for 2023. Whereas suicide is a complex issue that can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, race, orientation, income level, or background. And whereas over 48,000 deaths annually are attributed to suicide, with suicide rates in Colorado ranking 6th nationally and 66 lives lost to suicide in Weld County during 2022. And whereas being a trusted person to turn to when someone is feeling isolated or hopeless is one of the most important things we can do to prevent suicide. Whereas actively challenging stigma around mental health and building skills that increase the likelihood of someone feeling safe to open up without fear of shame or judgment is the first step. Whereas because of the collaboration, prevention, and education efforts of North Range Suicide Education and Support Services, Imagine Zero of Weld County, numerous survivors and community partners, hope exists in Evans. And whereas North Range Behavioral Health Suicide Education Support Services Program supports those who have lost someone to suicide and provides education to Evans residents that help build critical suicide prevention skills. And whereas September is recognized as the National Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month with the goal of promoting awareness surrounding suicide prevention resources and support available to us in our community. And whereas we encourage all residents to learn how to talk about mental health, research suicide prevention resources available nationally and throughout Weld County, check in on the well-being of your friends, family, and neighbors, and share a genuine appreciation for the people in your life by any gesture you deem appropriate. Now, therefore, I, Mark Clark, Mayor of the City of Evans, do hereby proclaim September 2023 as Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month in the City of Evans and call upon the citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of behavioral health and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all citizens. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the effect of the official seal of the City of Evans this 5th day of September 2023. And I understand Marcela Sanchez is here?
Michaela.
Sorry.
Michaela.
Me too.
Thank you for taking this time to recognize Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month. It's a topic that is often uncomfortable to talk about in public spaces, but it's really important to talk about. There is probably not a person in this room whose life hasn't been touched by suicide in some way, shape, or form. The key, though, is that it's also preventable. It's very preventable, and the first thing that we do to prevent it is to talk about our mental health, to be open about the challenges that we may be facing so then other people feel comfortable in our presence to share when they are experiencing challenges. People who die by suicide do not want to die. They want the pain to go away. They want the problem to end. And so if they can find someone that they can turn to who doesn't judge them, who doesn't, as we like to say in our trainings, should on them, talk about all of the things that they should do, but just listen and witness their pain. There's a lot of power in that. And so I just thank you for taking the time to recognize this month, and I do encourage you to check on the people that are in your lives that you love and you care for. And when you ask somebody, how are you? Take a moment to stop and look at them again and say, no, how are you really? And that might make all the difference. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. All right, next item on the agenda is audience participation. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to address City Council on any item that's not on the agenda or of a public hearing? If so, please step forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Jay Gardner. Bessler Homes, 33105, County Road 33, Greeley, Colorado, 80631. Evans City Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak before you tonight on a code issue that we'd like to address. It's going to get a little technical here at the front end, but I'll summarize at the end. We propose the deletion of section R313, automatic fire sprinkler systems, in its entirety. This is due to the fact that the City of Evans has already prescribed IRC section 313.2, 1 and 2 family dwellings, automatic fire sprinkler systems is already amended by the deletion of that section in its entirety. So this section in the International Residential Code is only 2 sections. Since one section has already been deleted, it may bring more clarity to delete this section in entirety with the amendment we're asking for today. Section R303.2.2, Part 2, prescribes the following: where a fire sprinkler system in accordance with section P2904 is not provided, the common wall shall not be less than 2-hour fire resistance rated wall, assembly attested in accordance with ASTM E119 UL263 or section 703.3 of the International Building Code. We have used this method in Alt, Colorado, and currently use this method for our townhomes in Johnstown, Colorado, and Fort Lupton, Colorado. 2 of these towns are inspected by ProCode, which is now part of SafeBuilt, and SafeBuilt inspected our townhomes in Alt, Colorado. We believe this method that these other municipalities have chosen are 100% acceptable to provide a fire-safe environment for their citizens. We still provide egress per code to escape for fire and smoke detectors to detect a fire. If there is a fire next door, there is a 2-hour wall separating the units, and our units are fee-simple units where they have their own separate utilities and they have no penetrations through the firewalls whatsoever. An automatic fire sprinkler is not designed to extinguish the fire, and as we just started our community in Liberty Draw here in Evans, the current closest fire station is number 2, and it's only 4 minutes away from our community. I believe this covers a brief overview of code compliance, reinforces compliance using an approved coded method, and helps us reduce the price of a home to the citizens of Evans. Just talking about affordability, adding these sprinkler systems creates potentially an affordability challenge, which is an ever-increasing crisis in America. The citizens in Evans are not exempt, and we believe that that needs to be a consideration. Shelter is one of the 4 basic needs that a human being requires. So in summary, the 2-hour firewalls that are already prescribed in section 302 in the IRC code is approved when not using an automatic fire sprinkler system in townhomes. By amending this section out of code, we have an opportunity to reduce the cost of Evans citizens to purchase a townhome while still maintaining code, and we would request a work session to discuss further on the topic of amending out section 313 of the IRC or International Residential Code in its entirety. Thank you.
Great, thank you, appreciate it. All right. Anybody else in the audience that wishes to address City Council on any item not on the agenda or of a public hearing? Seeing none. All right, Madam Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor, I would like to amend the agenda to hold the ERA meeting prior to the executive session.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
I second.
I have a motion, a second, to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item, consent agenda. Item number 4, approval of the August 15, 2023 City Council meeting minutes. Item number 5, appointment of Tim Naylor to the Planning Commission and Zone Board of Appeals.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda under new business, item number 6, public hearing, consideration of a new retail fermented malt beverage and wine liquor license off premises for Quick Trip Corporation doing business as Quick Trip number 4231 at 665 31st Street, Evans. I will open up the public hearing and we'll hear from staff.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. On August 1st, the city received a new application for a retail fermented malt beverage and wine liquor license for off-premises consumption for Quick Trip. located at 665 31st Street in Evans. Council's role is the local liquor licensing authority. Your approval must be based on the following findings: the reasonable requirements of the neighborhood, the desires of the adult inhabitants of the neighborhood, and the moral character of the applicants. The notice of public hearing was posted on the property and published in the Greeley Tribune on or before August 25th. The applicant has demonstrated that they have possession of the premises. The applicant has applied for and obtained their state sales tax license and city business sales tax license. The selling of liquor in the manner proposed in the application is approved per the special use site plan under the Community Development Department. The actual liquor license, if approved, would not be issued until a certificate of occupancy has been issued for this location. This location is not within 500 feet of any public or parochial school. There has not been a previous denial within the 2 preceding years of the date of the application for this type of liquor license at this location. And in regards to the needs and desires of the neighborhood, the petitions had returned 87 residences and businesses in favor of the proposed license, with 13 residences and businesses opposed. Upon review of the petition, it was determined that all the addresses in the petition are located within the 1 mile boundary. There are 3 other retail fermented malt beverage and wine liquor licenses within the 1 mile radius of 665 31st Street. And because this is a corporation, the corporation holds a master file with the state Liquor Enforcement Division, and therefore there was no individual background checks performed. That master file is, those backgrounds are performed on the corporate officers. The applicants are here to answer any questions that you may have. And that is all I have for you.
Great, thank you very much. I understand the applicant is in the audience. Do you have anything that you'd like to present to City Council on this matter?
Yes, please. Good evening, Mayor, council members. I'm Corey Tipton, counsel for Quick Trip Corporation. My registration number is 35865, and I'm here tonight with 2 representatives from Quick Trip Corporation who would like to give you some additional information both on the structure of the company and also the operation of the actual business.
Thank you. Mike Talcott, Real Estate Project Manager for Quick Trip. Been with Quick Trip almost 27 years now. Started in the stores on overnights, worked my way up. That's how our company works, even all the way up to the VPs right now. As far as the operation of the store day in and day out, Matt will handle that because he supervises all of that for all of our stores in Colorado, and I would be guessing, I'd probably be close, but he knows it for sure. I do all the zoning, site planning, everything up to the point that it opens is what I'm involved in. Quick Trip is a family-owned business. The founding family still owns the majority stake, privately owned. We are not franchises. Over 67 years in business. I think we are at 1,013 stores now. We open roughly 45 a year nationwide. This will be the 6th location here. Oh, it'll be 7. Yeah, we open one next week, or this week, I forgot. But we've been in the market now trying to develop stores for a little over 4.5 years, and Evans was very great to work with staff at Evans, so compliments. And I'll be hanging around, so if questions come up. But Matt?
My name is Matt Heenan. I'm the store supervisor for all of our locations here in the Denver market. Like to take a minute, if you guys are okay, and just talk a little bit about what we do at Quick Trip and our operations, and then answer any questions that you may have, obviously pertaining to any liquor laws that we follow. But the easiest way for me to do that is let me walk you through what a typical new hire is going to experience with Quick Trip. So right out of the gate, we hire somebody. They're going to come to an orientation at our division office. That orientation is going to last anywhere from 4 to 8 hours, depending on the position they're in. We often say there's two things we want you to take away from this orientation. To work at Quick Trip, you got to have great customer service. We're not going to tolerate poor customer service. Number two, what we refer to as what we call responsible retailing. So if you hear me refer to that, that is what we call our responsible retailing policy. It encompasses all liquor, tobacco compliance, as well as some other things as well. But we refer to it, and it's just second nature for me because I talk about it quite a bit, to say responsible retailing. So if you take away two things from that orientation, have good customer service and follow liquor tobacco laws, okay? After orientation, we send each one of our employees through training. It's anywhere from 46 hours for our part-timers up to 3 weeks of training for a new hire assistant manager off the street. Again, that initial training, what do we say in initial training? There's two things that you have to take away from this. You gotta have good customer service. You gotta know how to treat people the right way. And you gotta follow alcohol and tobacco compliance. You gotta be compliant to responsible retailing. So that's just getting through initial training. Our trainers throughout training will look at those two things daily. There's a whole lot of stuff you can imagine running a C-store. There's a whole lot of stuff you're gonna learn once or twice, and then repetition is gonna get you there. But those two items are observed and graded on a daily basis. And each trainer has the opportunity, with too many times of not being compliant, to fail that person from training. We wouldn't graduate them. They would no longer be working for Quick Trip. So then ongoing, something we do that's really, I think is really cool. We talk about responsible retailing anytime we have a meeting, it feels like. Anywhere from quarterly, when you sit down with your store manager and you do a one-on-one. Every other quarter is an evaluation on your performance. Again, we talk about that. I bring in all of my assistant managers once a quarter, and we come to our division office and we do a big meeting where we discuss a whole lot of stuff that's going on in our market. Responsible retailing is a topic on that every single time we have a meeting. So, and then something we do that I wouldn't say is unique, but that we're serious about making sure we're compliant, that we take this seriously. We do a great job of following up on our employees, compliance-wise. We do hire our own compliant shoppers that come in secretively and attempt to buy alcohol or tobacco. Obviously, they're of age. They're 21, 22 years old, attempting to buy tobacco or alcohol from our employees. An employee who fails to ID that person and follow our process once you ID them, which I'll get to here in a second, is subject to disciplinary action up to and including termination. So we're pretty strict on that. That we go around quarterly with those people who do so. I also empower my store managers just to observe behaviors. Not everything has to be disciplined. Sometimes it's as simple as asking questions. That 18-year-old may not know what a 48-year-old looks like compared to a 68-year-old. So just being able to observe and have those conversations when you see stuff like that, or when it comes down to it, holding somebody accountable if that's what it takes. And then I said a little bit about, we do some other things as well, just within our day-to-day operations. But as far as the process goes, we also make it really easy for our employees. It sounds like we're real harsh with our employees. We don't want to see anybody gone. We like our employees, right? So we make it really easy for them to follow the law, to meet our expectations in everything they do. Kind of like Mike, I'm a lifer at Quick Trip. I started as a 16-year-old. Back then, we had no systems in place, really. We had a little flip calendar that would tell you the date that you had to ID somebody, and sometimes you'd go 4 or 5 days and someone would forget that flip calendar. And I remember being a 16-year-old going, do they have to be older than this, younger than this? And it was really kind of confusing for me. And I've got somebody staring at me, and there's times that I just wanted to get that person out of standing in front of me. So now we've made it super easy. Every alcohol or tobacco transaction, there is a prompt that's going to pop up on that register. 100% of them have to be acknowledged with a date of birth for that sale to go through. We do have the option to override that date of birth if that person does look like they're over the age of 50. But then we do encourage our managers. In fact, I more than encourage them. I make them do it, to go back and follow up randomly on those overrides to make sure nobody's just skipping the system and following up. So that's a little bit about our process. I'm happy to take any questions. If anybody has any questions on how we do so. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, would you talk a little bit about your technology around how the coolers are locked and the security around the alcohol?
Sure. Well, we keep, obviously during selling hours, the cooler doors remain unlocked. During the overnights, which would be 12 a.m. to 8 a.m., we have locks that all doors will be locked up. Obviously, anything locked up in the back room would be locked up as well. So is that what you were referring
Yes,
to?
and then would you also, you talked a lot about underage sales, but would you also talk about somebody who comes in and appears to be visibly intoxicated and what your policy
yeah.
is around?
Yeah, absolutely. Still covered in the responsible retailing policy. It is illegal to sell alcohol to an intoxicated person. It's part of orientation. It's part of ongoing training. Honestly, it doesn't happen all that often, and we talk about it. But we empower our people to refuse sales at any point in time if that comes up. And our part-timers know if they're in a position where they feel uncomfortable, they're absolutely going to just go grab an assistant manager to handle that situation for them. And that's perfectly okay with us. So we support them 100% in that. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Any questions? I'm happy.
All right, does anybody on council have any questions for the applicant and or for staff?
I don't have any. He pretty much answered and covered it all for me.
All right, seeing that there's no questions, because it's a public hearing, I would ask anybody in the audience that has come in here to speak in favor or against this, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and any council discussion on the matter. You can-
Seems great.
That was very, a very good discussion, a very good presentation, and I think that it answered any questions and really kind of made it very easy to make decisions on this.
Yes, absolutely.
Wholeheartedly agree.
I think for me, it's great to see that there's still companies that have systems in place, especially when it comes to customer service. It's nice that that is like on the top, not that it isn't for others, it's just, I remember when I was younger, my first job, they were so particular, and as, time goes by, things kind of, tend to be more lax. So it's nice that that's still one of your core things to ensure that all employees are following. So thank you for that.
Just from what I've seen, they wouldn't be able to pretty much tear down and rebuild the one in Herculaneum, Missouri, if they weren't doing well or something right. And so just from what I've seen growing up with them, they've got to be pretty responsible for what they have going. So I'm not, saying anybody's perfect, but they do, have a good reputation where I'm from.
Well, I want to say great presentation. Covered it very well. Leaves no doubt in any of our minds. The place is looking fabulous, by the way. It's coming together really well. Hopefully, when do we have a ET? I'm sure, what? October 12th. Awesome. Looking forward to it. But that place looks fantastic. Looking forward to having you in our community. Thank you for doing business in Evans, and I'm definitely in favor of this. And if there's no more discussion, I'd entertain a motion. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Fred.
I travel a lot, and the first time I went into a Quick Trip, I was impressed, and I have visited a few more since then. I don't get to travel as much since I got on council, but I still like to do it, and I'm very glad that Quick Trip is here, and I've been watching the progress, and as a lot of other people, townspeople have been watching progress, and they're very much in favor, the ones that I've talked to about the Quick Trip coming in, and look forward to the grand opening.
All right, I'd entertain a motion.
I move for the approval of the retail fermented malt beverage and wine liquor license off premises for Quick Trip Corporation, DBA Quick Trip number 4231, located at 665 31st Street.
Second. I have a motion and a second. to approve the retail fermented malt beverage and wine liquor license off premises for Quick Trip Corporation doing business as Quick Trip, number 4231, located at 665 31st Street. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much
Good
for being
job,
here.
thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Moving on. Item number 7, consideration of a development agreement with Flexible Evans 2 LLC for Southgate Junction, and we will hear from staff.
Angela Snyder, Department of Community Development. Let's see. All right, so this agreement before you today is for Southgate Junction. It is with Flexible Evans 2 LLC, the LLC managed by Flexible Real Estate. The total estimated cost of improvements is $2,326,664. Now those costs of improvements are being divided between the ERA, the city, and the developer contribution. So the development agreement before you right now outlines all of those costs. And then it also highlights those improvements that are reimbursable by the city, which is a total of $306,013 estimated. Got that 13 in there. So the improvements to be reimbursed by the city are the lift station, the retention pond, the water line relocation, and the associated improvements. These are not proposed to be paid back with TIF funds, but to be paid back with wastewater enterprise funds. So they would be paid by the city upon acceptance, that initial acceptance of improvements. So here's just a map for reference of what we're talking about. The property, the development agreement does not consider Lot 4, which the ERA is retaining. The development agreement only covers lots 1, 2, and 3, and Southgate Drive. So again, we have our total cost of improvements. The city attorney has reviewed the proposed form of guarantee, which is a little unusual than our usual development agreement. We have a bond for the 100% and a letter of credit proposed for the 15% warranty above that. That goes to the nature of these improvements, many of which will be eventually paid back by the city anyway. So the city attorney was amenable to the bond option. So based on this review by our finance department, by the city attorney, staff recommends approval of this development agreement. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments, staff?
I just have one. How did they come up with the name Southgate Junction? I know a long time ago you voted on the junction, but now it's called the Southgate Junction.
I was wondering how that was. I wasn't able to tell in the files. I saw there was Southgate Junction and there was also the the junction at Evans.
Yeah, I think the junction at Evans, and I'm sorry, that was kind of.
What? I have no idea of the history. The street is Southgate.
It's an extension of the other Southgate
on the north side. Okay.
Okay, so somewhere along the lines that was named Southgate instead of 8th Avenue.
Yes.
Who do we have naming our streets now?
Well, when the original Southgate was constructed in 2019, that name was just extended down to 31st Street. And at that point, after that, it was just logical to extend it all the way down to the West Service Road.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know why that we did that back then.
I guess, I mean, I've lived here quite some time, and that was always the service road, and it was always 8th Avenue. And so somewhere along the line, I just have been surprised by this Southgate thing. So just didn't know how we were going about naming our stuff, because I do know that it was brought to city council in, I don't know, 2014 or so, and 2014, 2015 to call it,
The junction.
but not the Southgate part, so that's, I just wanted to find out.
Interesting. It's good to know.
Cheryl Trent wins.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? of Staff? All right, if there are no questions or comments, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the development agreement with Flexible Evans 2 LLC for Southgate Junction as presented and authorize the mayor to sign.
I second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the development agreement with Flexible Evans 2 LLC for Southgate Junction as presented and authorize the mayor to sign. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Angela. All right, next time on the agenda, item number 8, consideration of budget amendment for the Evans Ditch Trail design, and we'll hear from staff.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So as you know, we're working on the design to construct at least a portion of the Evans Ditch Trail here in the near future. We had original budget of $75,000, and we originally were planning on doing this just with local money and putting it all in using local money to do it without any of the additional costs involved with CDOT funds. Earlier this year, late last year, I guess it was, we found there was some CDOT money available to construct the project, and that threw some additional costs into the project in order to complete it and comply with all the CDOT regulations. Some of those costs include an environmental assessment. We have to perform additional work during construction to comply with them at the end of the project with the documentation and things like that. So we went through what we thought the cost would be. We got some quotes from various contractors to complete the environmental assessment. And in addition, the consultant who originally designed it for us had flipped all his construction documents to just traditional borders. Now we have to put it back to the CDOT format and add in a lot of additional detailing that CDOT requires in their plan sets, which I wouldn't normally put in a plan set. With that in mind, we looked around within Jackie and Brian and looked for some additional funding within the parks impact fee, and we found an additional $111,000, which is what we've come up with as an estimate of what it's going to cost to complete the project and be ready for construction of what we're calling phase 1 of the project. Some of the items that we're going to complete we'll do with local money that don't involve CDOT, but they also won't be constructed with CDOT money. Like, for instance, we're going to have to purchase an easement from off the Peerless Tire people over here at 6th Avenue or St. Vrain and 36th. But we're going to do that with local monies and not build that as part of the initial project with the CDOT money. So the money we have involved with CDOT will construct essentially from 17th all the way down to 42nd. That's our goal. And then down the road, we'll build the next phase from 36th over to 17th, and then continue as we find more money, either locally or outside money, to construct the trail all the way to 49th. And with that, what we're hoping is you'll approve the additional change order or additional budget amendment for this project in the amount of a revised budget of $186,000 versus what we have currently is $75,000, so a change of $111,000. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions, comments of staff?
I don't have a question, I just have a comment.
Go ahead.
I'm not for this trail. And the reason why I'm not is, I don't know, I just think that we just need too much access for it for the ditch, but for the ditch and the ditch riding of it. But the other thing is that, I mean, we've spent $100,000 here and $150,000 there trying to do different plans over the years for this. And I think that right now that there's better places to spend our money. So I just want to say that I'm not for spending more money on getting this trail going.
Any other additional questions, comments? So, Yeah, kind of.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm kind of wavering on this as well. We do have a lot of other places in need that we could use the money for, and
Well, it just seems like this is one of those places where we've had some designs and then it sits on the shelf and then we have to come back and we have to spend another $100,000 to redesign it. And then it's gonna sit on the shelf again, or we're just gonna do a little portion of it. What are the people gonna do? I mean, it's a little cut through for the people who are a little nefarious, I think. And I just think that sitting on the shelf again is not the best use of our money at this time, but.
so this is part of a grant that we received. That's why we got the CDOT and then the Evans match to go towards this trail. If that's correct. So that match is specifically for this particular trail.
The grant match is for the construction. And just as a matter of history, we turned back the money, I believe it was in like the 2014 or 2015.
Right.
We originally had it funded with outside funds and we turned it back in. So if we turned it back, we'd be turning it back in a second time if we don't have the IGA in place yet.
Right.
We have to complete the design and get that ready before we would bring the IGA to you for approval.
What is the overall grand scheme of, this is to connect all the trails together, right? And this would be another phase of connecting the trails throughout.
That's me.
Yes, it would extend from 31st Street down the existing ditch to 36th and St. Vrain across alongside the north side of Peerless, and then all the way to 37th. We'd swing over to Valmont, and then follow the ditch down to Burlington and Belmont, and then continue all along the ditch on the north side of Joe Kuntz's property and all the way to 49th. And that's where it would connect in with the existing trail along that goes through the wastewater plant.
Okay, that's what I was, okay. I do have some concerns about it as well, and here's my concern, and I agree with Councilmember Spear on this. It does seem at times, and again, this is not going towards any staff here, that we have approved money in the past for trails, for parks, and for various other projects that we think are getting done or in some kind of phase of getting done, but then the proposal comes back to us months, years later, asking for more money, and some of us raise questions of, well, we've approved this money, say a year, 2 years ago. Where did that money go that we already approved, and what was being done with it? So I think when we look at this from this perspective, at least, that's how I'm, it's like, we've done, and it seems like now it's coming back and asking for more money. I think there's just some skeptic parts on our end, because we're like, hey, we budget money for this down the line before, where's the progress on it? So that's just my thoughts. Any other additional questions, comments? Councilmember Neal?
I echo some of that, Mark, because I had spoken with the former city manager and also the assistant city manager about getting the progress of this, because part of this from 11th Street to 37th Street, I thought they were supposed to have been working on about 2 years ago, and it wasn't, nothing was done. And now I guess we're extending it further than the original project. Was it originally projected to go from 11th Avenue down all the way down to 42nd Street, Mark?
Yes, we originally, when we originally put it out, we were gonna design it all the way to 49th. But as monies were available and we were only gonna build it to 42nd.
Is it possible to maybe try for any grant money from like Go Colorado on this, or when it became a CDOT project, we have to comply with?
Well, we still have to comply with the CDOT requirements. If we use the CDOT money for construction, we could look for other money outside. It's just we would take longer to do that, and we'd have to get those agreements in place.
What kind of time frame, if this were to be approved, what kind of time frame would be, we talked about when this is getting done? Because You know, it says revised construction budget will be presented with the 2024 budget. When will we expect construction or to continue on that, and when would we expect it to be completed?
The intent is to finish the plans this year. One of the property owners, we have to acquire an easement from between Burlington and Belmont. He's already agreed to donate the land. We don't have to purchase it. We just have to write up the description and show him what the easement is. So that's already, we've already worked that out on a verbal scale. And then, once that's done, we can bid the project, and construct the project. With the plan would be to start construction in the spring, late spring, and finish it by the end of the summer.
Yeah, good evening, members of council. Just kind of want to echo what Marcus said. I completely understand your frustrations. This has been a project that's been going on since 2014 and it has been shelved. It was kind of passed on to Mark and myself from previous staffs to complete this, unknowing that we had to do the environmental and other these different pieces with the CDOT requirements for this grant. So the additional funding should get us to the finish line. Same thing that we just talked about with Quick Trip, or they brought up as different processes. So we're writing grants, but not looking at the full picture, or weren't looking at the full picture of what was required to fulfill that grant. So Jackie and her team have put something together, Mark and his team, so collectively we're all coming together as we start to do these. And I completely understand the frustrations with this one. I think Mark and I share those as well. But we do have grant funding to construct this of about $1 million next year. So with this additional 111,000, we are going to see great connectivity, and for the future of Evans within connectivity of what we're trying to do. You know, as Arrowhead's a big project that we have, which will be a trailhead for this connection down the road, connecting Evans from 11th Avenue all the way up to 47th.
So sorry, go ahead.
So I was looking, our match is only 121,000, so it's like minimal in comparison to what we're getting.
Absolutely. So it's a 10% match for the grant. We just did, I'll say, a poor job writing the grant to get the environmental and these additional pieces needed to meet CDOT requirements where we're receiving the funding.
I mean, I understand, yes, I remember this even brought up after 2014, and I was a big advocate for acquiring Arrowhead with the thoughts of connecting, the trail one day when those talks were happening, and then clearly they were shelved. Considering now where we're at, and that we're looking at this, and the match is so small, and we're getting a lot for this project. I am for this. I think, I know we've had many visits with the community, and one of the biggest things they brought up was trails, and this would be a part of that, us fulfilling that for them.
It's not connected to anything yet.
We have to start somewhere, though.
We'll start at Arrowhead then.
I mean, Arrowhead's yet to be completed, so I am for it. I do understand, the concerns, but I am for this.
Can you remind me, I believe the way it was drawn up was 37th down to 42nd, but it didn't run like parallel with the road. It kind of meandered.
Right.
Is that still the plan? And when you say construction, are we really going to start spring of 2024?
The intent is when the design is completed and we get concurrence and an IGA with CDOT to grant us the $1 million plus, and then we have the matching 120 and change, is to bid it in the spring and construct it next summer. So we would follow the plan and just construct and so we would have connection from 42nd up through 37th, which would give you access to the schools, and then a continuing access to 11th Avenue, with eventual access to the existing trail, which currently terminates at 36th and St. Vrain.
Thank you.
So just for clarity, we have our match, but if we look at the budget summary, it shows a deficit of $452,000 based on the estimated cost of construction. Where are we anticipating those costs to come from? Those funds to come from?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch all that.
In the budget detail that's attached to this, we show a budget of the 1,092,000 for construction, which I think is based on the CDOT piece. We then have estimated actual costs of 1.5 million for a total delta of 452,000, which is a deficit, meaning we would have to come with those funds. However, this change order isn't asking for that amount, so I'm confused as to where the remainder is coming from.
This change order is to get us through the design, and then as we work through the budget process, we were looking for that additional money. So that would complicate things more, yes.
Okay, so the total, even with design, the total nexus is still the 452,000 because we're ahead of the game on design services. The delta is positive, but we're below on construction services. So we would be designing with the anticipated cost of construction in 2024 being 1.5 million, needing to come up with an additional $500,000. I would like to see how that impacts the budget to know if it's actually doable. Do we know that?
We have had discussions utilizing park impact fees for that, so it'll be specific. It is a connection for the full community. So Jackie and Mark and I have sat down and had those discussions. Again, not ideal by any means, and as we move forward with grants, we will do these differently because honestly, this should have been written for 1.5 and we should be paying 150,000. So we understand and we'll listen to the direction you have, but I do think it's a great opportunity to start creating some connectivity for our community.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. I totally agree with Councilwoman Johnson that, you know, the community has wanted trails for a long time. I'm one of those community members. I live right by the Evans Ditch. And right now, if we want to bike to, like we like to bike to La Mariposa in the summer and sit on the patio and stuff. But right now I have to go like through farmland or where there's not a safe place for a family to be biking. So we haven't done it really in forever because there's not a safe alternative for individuals to be riding bikes or taking a trail or anything. So I think that connectivity is really important and helps to add to kind of the familial atmosphere of our community. I don't want to see this go undone. I don't want to see it go unfinished or just be kicked down the road. I do want to see this move forward, and I'm confident with the staff we have right now that will happen. I also think it would be a great use of the GOCO funds for CTF. I mean, it's a primary resource for that. The other thing I would like to see in 2025 onward is the added cost of trail maintenance and what we think that trail is going to look like. Did CDOT have a way that it needed to be constructed? Is it an asphalt trail? Is it like curbed and then you do it? Is it cement? Because I know based on my experience, there's traditionally some excess costs associated with it if you don't have the asphalt curbed in there and then it's leaking through, or you have it built, you know, gravel only or whatever it is. There's different costs of construction. So I would like to know kind of long-term maintenance, what that looks like as well. Not right now.
It will be constructed of concrete because we have to drive our equipment on it, including in some areas of vac truck. So it will be concrete.
Concrete. Okay, perfect. That's great.
And I'm sure there's got to be some MPO funding that we can also go and get for this as well, correct? Because that would definitely fall into the category for trails and.
Yeah, it's for maintenance purposes as well as trail purposes.
So I noticed that under the Conservation Trust, we have, but it says phase 2, like the trail road and construction. Is that, are we utilizing it's $200,000? Is that a part of the figure that we're looking at, or is that utilizing that amount for a specific phase? Because it says 2, but there's only phase 1 on this chart.
Well,
Phase 1 construction.
in this case, I think if I remember correctly, it's only from the park impact for the 111,000 to get us through the design, and then we were get to find the money in next year's budget, or potentially we can push it off another year. But the longer we wait, the inflation will keep going up, and I'd rather not put this one on the shelf and then wait for it because I've already got several others that are sitting on shelves. So I'm trying to get one done and under construction.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what everybody said. I do have concerns, but I am definitely a lot more confident in this staff and this administration to actually, if we're going to approve things, things are gonna get done. I think that's just the biggest concern is, it seems like we're approving things and where has it gone over the years?
Well,
And
I'd like to see, I mean, if we're gonna do trail system and we're talking about connectivity, this is where my big issue is we've got a little trail over here and a little trail over here, and then we'll start on Arrowhead, and they're not all connected, and who knows when we're gonna get the financing for that. And that's why I was saying,
I agree,
I agree. It would be better if we had connection between two existing trails or the Arrowhead and somewhere else rather than adding another one. But
yep, I agree.
Well, it's kind of like expanding the roads. There's things we had to take into consideration, like wetlands, and I don't know about the trails, but there were things that it didn't work out schedule-wise because of those wetlands and other things they had to deal with. So I'm assuming, could be wrong, that that's what it is, but maybe we were just fed a line too, back in the past, not now.
we'll see.
Any other questions, discussions for staff? If not, I would entertain a motion if anybody wants to propose one.
I move to approve the proposed professional service changes outlined above to complete the design of Phase 1 of the Evans Ditch Trail project and move to approve the budget revision in the amount of $111,000 to increase the design budget to a not to exceed amount of $186,000.
I second.
I have a motion to second to approve the proposed professional services change outlined above to complete the design phase 1 of the Evans Ditch Trail project and move to approve the budget revision in the amount of $111,000 to increase the design budget to a not exceed amount of $186,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay?
Nay.
We get a roll call vote on that, please?
Mayor Clark,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Castle,
Aye.
Councilmember Spear,
Nay.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Neal,
Aye.
Councilmember Mortensen.
Aye.
All right, motion passes 5-1. Thank you. All right, next item, item number 9, consideration of 37th Street Phase 1 change order for construction management services, and we'll hear from staff.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So this, the project ran long, as you know, due to about 30-some days of weather and some additional work that we ended up doing. This required additional meetings, additional time on the job for our construction management services. So we're running, we would have normally been wrapped up by now because our original completion schedule was June 14th, and we're a little over 2 months past that, so which we anticipate the project closeout to take roughly 2 months. So by the end of October, we should be wrapping up this project paperwork-wise and getting all the funds back from CDOT that were entitled. JUB has done a great job for us. They've found and identified problems and helped fix those problems. And when those problems required some additional thought in terms of costs and where we could save money, they were very helpful on that side of things. Definitely liked working with them. They're proactive and they're very thorough in their review of all of the plans. The reports I'm getting back on a daily basis have been pretty impressive. We're getting daily documentation of the project, and then, like I said, they call us immediately if there's something that they're unsure of, but they make the call on some of the smaller stuff, and I trust so far I've been really happy with their judgment. So with that, I would recommend approval of this change order for about $30,000 to finish up the contract, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions, comments, staff? This one's pretty straightforward to me.
Pretty straightforward to me too.
If there are no questions or comments, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the change order to contract with JUB for 37th Street Phase 1 construction management services in the amount of $30,092.45, increasing the final not to exceed contract amount of $227,893.20.
I second.
I have a motion, a second, to approve the change order contract with JUB for 37th Street Phase 1 construction management services in the amount of $30,092.45, increasing the final not to exceed contract amount to $227,893.20. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank
All right, next time on the agenda, report city manager.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. I just have 3 items for you here tonight. The first issue I want to bring up kind of pertains to that business item for the Evans Ditch Trail design. One of the ideas that I floated with planning, with our planning division, is going through and working to create a trail system master plan. That way, as we're having these conversations, we can have a more dynamic idea of what that developed trail system would look like. And so we've got a transportation section within the comprehensive plan, but I think expanding that to cover the trail system would certainly be germane, especially in conversations such as this. So that's something I'm working with planning on. So I just wanted to bring that up in the event that we have additional questions in the future about our trail system. Second, September 16th, we've got Evans Heritage Day coming up, so city staff has been busy, and then Councilmember Spear, Councilmember Mortensen, you've been involved in that planning, the planning process for that. So September 16th certainly will be an exciting day as we celebrate Evans Heritage Day. And then lastly, from a city manager perspective, I just want to thank the city council for the conversation we've had over the last two Tuesdays. About 6.5 hours of conversation about the budget. I truly appreciate your guys' leadership as we've gone through this. I hope that what you will find on the backside of this project is a budget that reflects your priorities, that we can better achieve your goals and desires. So on behalf of city staff, thank you for your leadership in providing us direction for that budget. Mr. Mayor, that's all I've got.
City Attorney.
I don't have anything, thank you.
All right. All right, next item, council discussion. So I did want to bring up one thing. As you saw earlier in the meeting, we had Besler Homes come in. They wanted to talk about making some code changes regarding their construction, and wanted to get any council thoughts regarding that. My thought on this is, when we changed our code a couple years ago, it included, and most all communities now have, where you have to have a fire suppression system into your new builds and you do constructions. From the email that I've read, and from, influence from, and reading also the, fire chiefs, comments and everything like that, I personally am not in favor of bringing this to a council discussion and making some changes to our code to allow them to have some cost savings on their end. I want to make sure that we're building, homes affordable, but also in a safe manner, and that way our residents feel safe and everything. And if this is the code that we adopted, if we make one change for them, any other builder that's going to come through is going to have the same request and said, hey, you may have done it for them, how come you're not going to do it with us? So that's just my opinion, but if council has anything that they want to add to that, or if they want to bring it up for a work session or an agenda item, we can certainly entertain that. So that's just my thought on it.
Well, had a couple comments. One was our former mayor. He was required, when he built his business, of course it was a business, but it's still a commercial building, which is similar to what an apartment or a duplex kind of is. He was required to put both in, both the firewall and the sprinkler system. And I guess they've talked at least one community into changing the code, but this is an international code, and it's 5 years behind what I'm assuming they're doing right now is creating a new code book. So if the international community thinks that's important, I think for the health and safety of the public, we need to keep it in there. And it's tough that they gotta put it in there and raise the price of their houses, but that's just the way it is.
Any other thoughts on that, if we want to bring this up for council discussion, or are we pretty good if we already have it in our code? And, you know, if other communities have not done it except for one, you know, I don't know if we should
Do
be,
you know the reason why they did it?
why Alt did it?
Yeah.
I do not know why Alt may have done it. But I know all the other communities that have worked with Bezler besides Alt have denied their requests and required them to comply with the current codes as it was written.
I think for me, again, as you mentioned, for safety reasons, I think keeping it the way it is. And as Councilmember Neal mentioned, we're behind. You know, anytime there's like a safety code, we're always behind. So we're in essence always trying to catch up. So that's what we voted on, and I'm for where it's at.
Certainly don't want another Tuscany.
Well, and if the homes are gonna be shared or, say, smaller yards or anything like that, extra protection's better. And I know it's not 100% foolproof, put the fire out. It's called a fire suppression system. At least it may slow one down and from spreading to other areas more quickly. So for me, I don't think, you know, we need to go to a work session for it. I say we leave it, but that's me.
Councilmember Spear, Mayor Pro Tem?
I don't think it's a decision, really, I get that it's a council decision, but I think it's a fire district call. Honestly, I don't think it's appropriate for us to say, yes, do this or don't do this. They've got ISO ratings that they're looking for. They've got to be the ones responding to those calls. I think it's inappropriate for us to say, let's do away with this, but it dramatically impacts what they're doing each and every day. I'm not in particular favor of limiting it. I don't know that I think that makes any sense. They wouldn't have the code if there was a reason not to. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's advantageous. Just my personal opinion.
And Chief DeSalvo has stated his position on it. They're against it as well. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
I'm not about to go against that piece.
Councilmember Spear?
Okay, nothing to add.
All right, so there's the direction on their request. We're gonna just continue as it is in our code and not make any changes.
Yeah, seeing the will of the council, I will contact Bezler in the morning and let him know.
All right, any other discussion?
I just want to say that I hope to see everybody at the Heritage Day. We'll have our normal float. If you did not like sitting on a covered hay bale, please bring something to sit on.
Blanket.
A blanket.
We'll have lots of camping.
I will move Tammy and I will move the location of the balloons. But Tammy's gonna help us. I do think that,
Wait, you did mention that you're gonna decorate. I would volunteer to
Well, I'll
help.
decorate, yeah. let's
Yes,
go.
but let us know.
okay, well, anybody decorating has to bring alcohol.
Wait, what?
It'll start off good. Be a little wild.
Sober, and it would be pretty boring.
Yeah. So, I think we'll get you guys some updated, timelines, but also we're going to do the same thing with the judging of so if you want to be on the float, be there like 9:30. If you want to judge, it'll be earlier.
Right.
And we'll get that done. And then afterwards, plan to, stay for pictures and handing out awards again.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And, I just thought that, and I didn't know if anybody wanted to all coordinate wearing our
Yeah.
t-shirts on the
Yeah.
float.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a good color too.
It's a good color, yeah.
Beautiful
I'm like-
color. We'll all look the same, and there you go.
And I just want to
eye
add.
makeup to match too, like I will.
Yeah, Mark.
I just wanted to add, anyone that's out there, if, you know, we have a parade, you can always enter and bring your banner so you get exposure if you haven't already. I love it.
Awesome.
Do you have supplies to do the decorating?
I do actually.
She has a farm.
I can get some
I have
stuff too.
I have a balloon blower upper thing. I don't know, and then I usually just hit the dollar store and well, let me
great.
know a whole bunch, so
Good
I can
mouth.
bring stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Wait, do we have a theme that we need to bring a specific color?
it's,
We'll
Green.
talk offline.
I was gonna say.
it's kind of going this
Green?
year with the green,
Okay,
but,
great.
you know, green and silver balloons or something,
Okay,
and,
there you go.
and we'll just decorate it. It's kind of halfway still decorated from last year. I just took off the sides, and
There you go.
all I have to do is screw it back in, so.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to that. That's, yeah.
Fresh hay, though.
Fresh hay. Oh, thank the Lord.
Sounds good.
Councilmember Neal, looked like you were raising your hand. Did you have anything?
No.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? Again, I just want to also say thank you to staff for for this, the budget process and the meetings we've had over the last couple Tuesdays. Really appreciate everything and all your hard work and effort in that. So thank you very much again.
Thank you for hanging in there with us. You know, it's like we have baggage that we, you know, keep on rehashing. We don't try to, it's just, you know, we're working through this, you know, trying to get things moving.
All right, with that said, I'm going to put the regular council meeting on hold because our next item is an executive session, and then we're going to go ahead and jump into our ERA meeting.